YHWHY. The Sefer of Baruch Sheneh. Second Baruch. Chapter 1. And it came to pass in the 25th year of Yehonanyahu, king of Yehudah, that the word of Yahweh came to Baruch, the son of NerYah, and said to him, Have you seen all this that the people are doing to me? That the evils which these 2 tribes which remained have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes which were carried away captive. For the former tribes were forced by their kings to commit sin, but those 2 of themselves have been forcing and compelling their kings to commit sin. For this reason, behold, I bring evil upon this city, and upon its inhabitants, and it shall be removed from before me for a time. And I will scatter this people among the other people, that they may do good to the other people. And my people shall be chastened, and the time shall come when they will seek for their prosperity of their times. 2 Baruch chapter 2. For I have said these things to you, that you may bid Yirmiyahu, and all those that are like you, to retire from this city. For your works are to this city as a firm pillar, and your prayers as a strong wall. 2 Baruch 3. And I said, O Yahweh, my Adonai, have I come into the world for this purpose, that I might see the evils of my mother? Not so, my Adonai. If I have found grace in your sight, first take my ruach, that I may go from my fathers, and not behold the destruction of my mother. For these 2 things vehemently constrain me, for I cannot resist you. And my soul, moreover, cannot behold the evils of my mother. But one thing I will say in your presence, O Yahweh. What therefore will there be after these things? For if you destroy your city, and deliver up your land to those that hate us, how shall Hashem, the name of Israel, be again remembered? Or how shall one speak of your praises? Or to whom shall that which is in your Torah be explained? Or shall the world return to its nature of aforetime, and the age revert to primeval silence? And shall the multitude of souls be taken away, and the nature of man not again be named? And where is all that which you did say to Moshe regarding us? Chapter 4. And Yahweh said unto me, This city shall be delivered up for a time, and the people shall be chastened during a time, and the world will not be given over to oblivion. Do you think that this is that city of which I said, On the palms of my hands have I graven you? This building now built in your midst is not that which is revealed with me, that which was prepared beforehand, here from this time when I took counsel to make paradise, and showed it to Adam before he sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him, as also paradise. And after these things I showed it to my servant Abraham by night among the portions of the victims. And again also I showed it to Moshe on Mount Sinai, when I showed it to him the likeness of the tabernacle and all its vessels. And now, behold, it is preserved with me, as also paradise. Go therefore, and do as I command. 2 Baruch chapter 5. And I answered and said, So then I am destined to grieve for Zion, for your enemies will come to this place and pollute your sanctuary, and lead your inheritance into captivity, and make themselves masters of those whom you have loved. And they will depart again to the place of their idols, and will boast before them. And what will you do for your great name? And Yahweh said unto me, My name and my glory are unto all eternity, and my judgment shall maintain its right in its own time. And you shall see with your eyes that the enemy will not overthrow Zion, nor shall they burn Jerusalem, but be ministers of the judge for the time. But do go and do whatsoever I have said unto you. And I went and took Yirmiyahu, and Adu, and Seraiah, and Yaveish, and Gedaliah, and all the honorable men of the people. And I led them to the valley of Kidron, and I narrated to them all that had been said to me. And they lifted up their voice, and they all wept. And we sat there and fasted until evening. 2 Baruch chapter 6. And it came to pass on the morrow that, lo, the army of the Kasdim surrounded the city. And at the time of the evening, I, Baruch, left the people and went forth and stood by the oak. And I was grieving over Zion, and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong ruach raised me, and bore me aloft over the wall of Jerusalem. And I beheld, and lo, 4 Melachim, angels, standing at the 4 corners of the city, each of them holding a torch of fire in his hand. And another angel began to descend from heaven, and said unto them, Hold your lamps, and do not light them till I tell you. And I am first sent to speak a word to the earth, and to the place in what Yahweh Tesafot has commanded me. And I saw him descend into the Holy of Holies, and take from thence the veil, and the Kodesh ark, and the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the holy raiments of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones wherewith the priests was adorned, and all the Kodesh vessels of the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth with a loud voice, Eretz, 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 hear, Shema, the word of El Elyon, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last time, so that when you are ordered you may restore them, so that strangers may not get possession of them. For the time comes when Yerushalayim also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And the Eretz, the earth, opened its mouth and swallowed them up. 2 Baruch, chapter 7. And these things I heard that angel saying unto those angels who held the lamps, Destroy therefore and overthrow its wall to its foundation, lest the enemy should boast and say, We have overthrown the wall of Zion, and we have burnt the place of Elohim, and ye have seized the place where I have been standing before. Chapter 8. Now the angels did as he commanded them, and when they had broken up the corners of the walls, the voice heard from the interior of the temple, after the wall had fallen, saying, Enter, ye enemies, and come, ye adversaries. For he who kept the house has forsaken it. And I, Baruch, departed. And it came to pass, after these things, that the army of the Casdim entered and seized the house and all that was around it. And they led the people away captive, and slew some of them, and bound Zedekiah the king, and sent him to the king of Babel. Chapter 9, 2 Baruch. And I, Baruch, came, and Yirmiyahu, whose heart was found pure from sins, who had not been captured in the seizure of the city. And we rent our garments, we wept and mourned and fasted 7 days. Chapter 10. And it came to pass after 7 days, that the word of Elohim came unto me, and said to me, Tell Yirmiyahu to go and support the captivity of the people unto Babel. But do remain here amid the desolation of Zion, and I will show to you after these days what will befall at the end of days. The Akaret Ha'amin. And I said to Yirmiyahu as Yahuwah commanded me, and he indeed departed with the people. But I, Baruch, returned and sat before the gates of the temple. And I lamented with the following lamentation over Zion, and said, Baruch, blessed is he who is not born, or he who, having been born, has died. But as for us who live, woe unto us, oy Gewalt. Because we see the affliction of Zion, and what has befallen Yerushalayim, I will call the Syrians from the sea, and ye Lilin come from the desert, and ye Shedin and dragons from the forests. Awake, and grind up your loins unto mourning, and take up with me the dirges, and make lamentations with me. Ye husbandmen, sow not again, and O earth, wherefore give you your harvest fruits? Keep within the sweets of your sustenance, and your vine. Why further do you give your wine for an offering, will not again be made therefrom in Sion, nor will the firstfruits again be offered. And do ye, O Shamayim, the heavens, withhold your dew, and open not the treasuries of rain? And do, O sun, withhold the light of your rays? And do, O moon, extinguish the multitude of your light? For why should light rise again where the light of Sion is darkened? And you, ye bridegroom, enter not in, and let not the brides adorn themselves from garlands. And ye women, pray not that ye may bear, for the barren shall above all rejoice, and those who have no sons shall be glad. And those who have sons shall have anguish, for why should they bear in pain, only to bury in grief? Or why again should mankind have sons, or why should the seed of their kind again be named, where this mother is desolate, and her sons are led into captivity? From this time forward speak not of beauty, and discourse not of gracefulness. Moreover, ye priests, take ye the keys of the sanctuary, and cast them into the height of heaven, and give them to Yahweh, and say, guard your house yourself. For lo, we are found false stewards, and you, ye virgins, who weave fine linen and silk with gold of Ophir, take with haste all these things, and cast them into the fire, that it may bear them to him who made them. And the flame, send them to him who created them, lest the enemy get possession of them. 2 Baruch, chapter 11. Moreover, I, Baruch, say this against you, Babel. If you had prospered, and Zion had dwelt in her glory, yet the grief to us had been great, that you should be equal to Zion. But now, lo, the grief is infinite, and the lamentation measureless. For lo, you are prospered, and Zion desolate. Who will be judge regarding these things? Or to whom shall we complain regarding that which is befallen us? O Yahweh, how have you borne it? Our fathers went to rest without grief, and lo, the righteous sleep in the earth in tranquility, for they knew not this anguish, nor yet had they heard of that which had befallen us. Would that you had ears, O earth, and that you had a heart, O dust, that ye might go and announce in Sheol, and say to the dead, Blessed are ye more than we who live. Chapter 12. But I say this as I think, and I will speak against you, O land which are prospering. The noonday does not always burn, nor do the rays of the sun constantly give light. Do not expect and hope that you will always be prosperous and rejoicing, and be not greatly uplifted and boastful. For assuredly in its own season shall the divine wrath awake against you, which now in long suffering is held in as it were by the reins. And when I had said these things, I fasted 7 days. 2 Baruch 13. And it came to pass after these things that I, Baruch, was standing upon Mount Sion, and lo, a voice came from the height, and said unto me, Stand upon your feet, Baruch, and Shema, hear the word of El Elohim, because you have been astonished at what has befallen Sion. You shall therefore be assuredly preserved to the consummation of times, that you may be for a testimony, so that if ever those prosperous cities say, Why has El Elohim brought upon us this retribution? Say unto them, You and those like you who shall have seen this evil. This is the evil and retribution which is coming upon you and upon your people in its destined time, that the nations may be thoroughly smitten, and then they shall be in anguish. And if they say at the time, For how long? You will say to them, Ye who have drunk and stained wine, drink ye also of its dregs. The judgment of the lofty Echad, the lofty one, who has no respect of persons. On this account he had aforetime no mercy on his own sons, but afflicted them as his enemies, because they sinned. Then therefore were they chastened, that they might be sanctified. But now, ye peoples and nations, ye are guilty, because ye have always trodden down the earth, and used the creation unrighteously. For I have always benefited you, and ye have always been ungrateful for the benefices. Chapter 14. And I answered and said, Lo, you have shown me the method of the times, and that which shall alter these things. And you have said unto me that the retribution which has been spoken of by you shall come upon the nations. And now I know that those who have sinned are many, and they have lived in prosperity and departed from the world, but that few nations will be left in those times, to whom those words shall be said which you did say. For what advantage is there in this, or what evil worse than what we have seen befall us are we to expect to see? But again I will speak in your presence. What have they profited who have knowledge before you, and have not walked in vanity as the rest of the goyim of the nations, and have not said to the dead, Give us life, but always feared you, and have not left your ways. And lo, they have been carried off, nor on their account have you had mercy on Sion. And if others did evil, it was due to Sion, that on account of the works of those who wrought good works, she should be forgiven, and should not be overwhelmed on account of the works of those who wrought unrighteousness. But who, O Yahweh, my Adonai, will comprehend your judgment, or who will search out the profoundness of your way? Or who will think out the weight of your tzedakah, your path? Or who will be able to think out your uncomprehensible counsel? Or who of those that are born has ever found the beginning or end of your wisdom? For we have all been made like a breath. For as a breath ascends involuntarily and again dies, so it is with the nature of men who depart not according to their own will, and know not what will befall them in the end. For the righteous justly hope for the end, and without fear depart from its habitation, because they have with you a store of works preserved in treasuries. On this account also these without fear leave this world, and trusting with joy, with simcha, they hope to receive the world which you have promised to them. But as for us, oi, woe to us, who also are now shamefully entreated, and at that time look forward only to evils. But you know accurately what you have done by means of your servants, for we are not able to understand what that which is good as you, our Creator. But again, I will speak in your presence. O Yahweh, my Master Adonai, when of old there was no world with its inhabitants, you did devise and speak with a word, and forthwith the works of creation stood before you. And you did say that you would make for your world man as an administrator of your works, that it might be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him. And now I see that as for the world which was made on account of us, lo, it abides, but we on account of whom it was made depart. Chapter 15, 2nd Baruch. And Yahweh answered and said unto me, You are rightly astonished regarding the departure of man, but you have not judged well regarding the evils which befall those who sin. And as regards what you have said, that the righteous are carried off, and the impious are prospered. And as regards what you have said, man knows not your judgment. On this account hear, and I will speak to you. And hearken, and I will cause you to hear my words. Man would not rightly have understood my judgments unless he had accepted the Torah, and I had instructed him in understanding. But now, because he transgressed wittingly, yea, just on this ground, that he know thereof, he shall be tormented. And as regards what you did say in touching the righteous, on that account of them has come to this world, so also again shall that which is to come. 2nd Baruch, chapter 16. And as regards that you did say touching the righteous, that on account of them has this world come, so also again shall that which is to come on their account. For this world is to them a strife and a labor with much trouble, and that accordingly which is to come, a crown with great glory. And I answered and said, O Yahweh, my Adonai, lo, the years of this time are few and evil, and who is able in this little time to acquire that which is measureless? Chapter 17. And YHWH, Yahweh answered and said unto me, with El Shaddai, account is not taken of much time, nor of a few years. For what did it profit Adam that he lived 930 years, and transgressed that which he was commanded? Therefore, the multitude of time that he lived did not profit him, but brought death and cut off the years of those who were born from him. Or, wherein did Moshe suffer loss, in that he lived only 120 years, and inasmuch as he was subject to him who formed him, brought the Torah to the seed of Yaakov, and lighted a lamp for the nation of Yisrael. Chapter 18. And I answered and said, he that lighted has taken from the light, and there are but few that have imitated him, but those many whom he has lighted have taken from the darkness of Adam, and have not rejoiced in the light of the lamp. Chapter 19. And he answered and said unto me, wherefore at that time he appointed for them a covenant, and said, behold, I have placed before you life and death. And he called Shamayim and Eretz, the heaven and earth, to witness against them. For he knew that his time was but short. But the heaven and the earth endure always. But after his death they sinned and transgressed, though they knew that they had the Torah reproving them, and the light in which nothing could err. Also the Shvirs which testify, and me. Now, regarding everything that is, it is I that judge, but do not take counsel in your soul regarding these things, nor afflict yourself because of those which have been. For now it is the consummation of the time that should be considered, whether of business, or of prosperity, or of shame, and of not being thereof. Because if a man is prospered in his beginnings, and shamefully entreated in his old age, he forgets all the prosperity that he had. And again, if a man is shameful entreated in his beginnings, and at his end is prospered, he remembers not again his evil entreatment. And again, hearken, though each one were prospered all that time, all the time from the day on which death was decreed against those who transgress, and in his end was destroyed. In vain would have been everything. 2 Baruch chapter 20. Therefore, behold, the days come, and the time shall hasten more than the former, and the season shall speed on more than those that are in the past, and the years shall pass more quickly than the present years. Therefore I have now taken away Zion, that I may the more speedily visit the world in its season. Now therefore hold fast in your heart everything that I command you, and seal it in the recesses of your mind. And then I will show you the judgment of my might, and my ways which are unsearchable. Go therefore and sanctify yourself 7 days, and eat no bread, nor drink water, nor speak to anyone. And afterwards come to that place that I will reveal myself to you, and speak true things with you, and I will give you commandment regarding the method of the times, for they are coming, and tarry not. Chapter 21. And I went thence and sat in the valley of Kidron, in a cave of the earth. And I sanctified my soul there, and I ate no bread. Yet I was not hungry, and I drank no water, yet I thirsted not. I was there till the 7th day, and he had commanded me. And afterward I came to that place where he had spoken with me, and it came to pass at sunset, that my soul took much thought, and I began to speak in the presence of Elohim, and said, O you that have made the earth, hear me, that have fixed the firmament by your word, and have made firm the height of the heavens by the Ruach, that have called from the beginning of the world that which did not yet exist, and they obey you. You that have command the air by your nod, and have seen those things which are to be, as those things which are you are doing. You that rule with great thoughts the host that stand before you. Also, the countless Kodesh beings, which you did make from the beginning, of flame and fire, which stand round about your throne. You rule with indignation. To you only does this belong, that you should do forth with whatsoever you wish. Who causes the drops of rain to rain by number upon the earth, and alone know the consumption of the times before they come. Have respect unto my prayer, for you alone are able to sustain all who are, and those who have passed away, and those who are to be, those who sin, and those who are tzedak, upright, as living, and being past finding out. For you alone do live immortal, and past finding out, and know the number of mankind. And if in times many have sinned, yet others, not a few, have been righteous. You know where you preserve the end of those who have sinned, or the consummation of those who have been righteous. For if there were this life only, which belongs to all men, nothing could be more bitter than this. For of what profit is strength that it turns to sickness, or fullness of food that turns to famine, or beauty that turns to ugliness? For the nature of man is always changeable. For what we were formerly, we were no longer are now. And what we now are, we shall not afterwards remain. For if a consummation had not been prepared for all, in vain would have been their beginning. But regarding everything that comes from you, do inform me, and regarding everything about which I ask you, do enlighten me. How long will that which is corruptible remain? And how long will the time of the mortals be prospered? And until what time will those who transgress in the world be polluted with such wickedness? Command therefore in Chesed your mercy, and accomplish all that you said you would bring, that your might may be made known to those who think that your long-suffering is weakness. And show to those who know not that everything that has befallen us and our city now has been according to the long-suffering of your power, because on account of Hashem, your name, you have called us a beloved people. Bring to an end, therefore, henceforth mortality, and reprove accordingly the angel of death, and let your glory appear, and let the might of your beauty be known, and let Sheol, the grave, be sealed, so that from henceforth it may not receive the dead. And let the treasuries of souls restore those which are enclosed in them. For there have been many years like those that are desolate, from the days of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and of all those who are like them, who sleep in the earth, on whose account you did say that you had created the world. And now quickly show your kavod, your glory, and do not defer what has been promised to you. And when I had completed the words of this prayer, I was greatly weakened. Chapter 22. And it came to pass after these things, and lo, the heavens were opened, and I saw, and the power was given to me, and a voice was heard from on high, and it said unto me, Baruch, Baruch, why are you troubled? He who travels by a road does not complete it, or who departs by sea, but does not arrive at the port. Can he be comforted? Or who? He who promises to give a present to another, but does not fulfill it. Is it not robbery? Or he who sows the earth, but does not reap its fruit in the season, does he not lose everything? Or he who plants a plant, unless it grows till the time suitable to do it, as he has planted it, expects to receive fruit from it? Or a woman who has conceived and brings forth untimely, does she not assuredly slay her infant? Or he who builds a house, if he does not roof it and complete it, can it be called a house? Tell me that first. 2 Baruch 23. And I answered and said, Not so, O Yahweh my Adonai. And he answered and said unto me, Why therefore are you troubled about that which you know not? And why are you at ease about things that which you are ignorant? For as you have not forgotten the people who now are and those who have passed away, so I remember those who are appointed to come. Because when Adam sinned, and death was decreed against those who should be born, then the multitude of those who should be born was numbered. And for that number a place was prepared where the living might dwell, and the dead might be guarded. Before, therefore, the number aforesaid is fulfilled, the creature will not live again, for my Ruach is the creator of life, and Sheol will receive the dead. And again, it is given to you to hear what things are to come after these things. For truly my redemption has drawn nigh, and is not far distant as aforetime. Chapter 24. For behold, the days come, and the seraphim shall be opened, in which there are written the sins of all those who have sinned. And again, also the treasuries in which the Zadok of all those who have been righteous in creation is gathered. For it shall come to pass at that time that you shall see, and the many that are with you, the long suffering of El Elyon, which has been throughout all generations, who has been long-suffering towards all who are born, alike those who sin and those who are Zadok, righteous. And I answered and said, But behold, O Yahweh, no one knows the number of those things which have passed, nor yet those things which are to come. For I now know indeed that which has befallen us, but what will happen to our enemies? I know not, and when you will visit your works. Chapter 25. And he answered and said unto me, You too shall be preserved till that sign which El Elyon will work for the inhabitants of the earth in the days of the end. The Akaret Ha'amim. This therefore shall be the sign when a stupor shall seize the inhabitants of the earth, and they shall fall into many tribulations. And again, when they shall fall into great torments, and it will come to pass, when they say in their thoughts by reason of their much tribulation, El Elyon no longer remembers the earth. Yea, it will come to pass when they abandon hope, and the time will then awake. Chapter 26. And I answered and said, Will that tribulation which is to be continue a long time, and will that necessity embrace many years? Chapter 27. And he answered and said unto me, Into 12 parts that is that time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. in the first part there shall be the beginning of commotions, and in the second part there shall be slayings of the great ones, and in the third part of the fall of many by death, and in the fourth part the sending of the sword, and in the fifth part famine, and the withholding of rain, and the sixth part earthquakes, and terrors wanting, and in the eighth part a multitude of specters and attacks of the Shedim, and in the ninth part the fall of fire, and the 10th part rapine and much oppression, and in the 11th part wickedness and unchastity, and in the 12th part confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid. For these parts of the time are reserved, and shall be mingled one with another, and minister one to another. For some shall leave out some of their own, and receive in its stead from others, and some complete their own, and that of others, so that those may not understand who are upon the earth in those days, that this is the consummation of the times. 28. Nonetheless, whosoever understands shall be wise, for the measure and reckoning of that time are 2 parts a week of 7 weeks. And I answered and said, It is tov, it is good for a man to come and behold, but it is better that he should not come lest he fall. But I will say this also, will he who is incorruptible despise those things which are corruptible? And whatsoever befalls in the case of those things which are corruptible, so that he might look only to those things which are not corruptible. But if, O Yahweh, those things shall assuredly come to pass, which you have foretold to me, so do you show this also unto me. If indeed I have found chesed, grace, in your sight, it is in one place, or in one of the parts of the eretz, the earth, that those things are come to pass, or will the whole earth experience them? 2nd Baruch, chapter 29. And he answered and said unto me, Whatsoever will then befall, will befall the whole earth. Therefore all who live will experience them. For at that time I will protect only those who are found in those same days in the land. And it shall come to pass, when all is accomplished, that was to come to pass in those parts, that Hamashiach shall then begin to be revealed, and Behemoth shall be revealed from its place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea, and those 2 great monsters which I created on the 5th day of creation, and shall have kept until that time, and then they shall be for food for all that are left. The earth also shall yield its fruit 10,000-fold, and on each vine there shall be 1,000 branches, and each branch shall produce 1,000 clusters, and each cluster produce 1,000 grapes, and each grape produce a core of wine. And those who have hungered shall rejoice, Simcha. Moreover, also they shall behold marvels every day. For winds shall go forth from before me, to bring every morning the fragrance of aromatic fruits. And at the close of the day, clouds distilling the dew of health, and it shall come to pass at that self time, that the treasury of manna shall again descend from on high, and they will eat of it in those years, because these are they who have come to the consummation of time. Baruch, 2nd chapter 30. And it shall come to pass after these things, when that time of the advent of Hamashiach is fulfilled, that he shall return in glory. Then all who have fallen asleep in hope of him shall rise again. And it shall come to pass at that time that the treasuries will be opened, in which is preserved the number of the souls of the righteous, the Zadok, and they shall come forth, and a multitude of souls shall be seen together in one assemblage of one thought, and the first shall rejoice, and the last shall not be grieved, for they know that the time has come of which it is said, that it is the consummation of the times. But the souls of the wicked, when they behold all these things, shall then waste away the more, for they shall know that their torment has come, and their perdition has arrived. 2nd Baruch 31. And it came to pass after these things, that I went to the people and said unto them, Assemble unto me all your elders, and I will speak words unto them. And they all assembled in the valley of Kidron. And I answered and said unto them, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, and I will speak to you. And give ear, O seed of Yaakov, and I will instruct you. Forget not Zion, but hold in remembrance the anguish of Jerusalem, for lo, the days come when everything that is shall become a prey of corruption, and be as though it had not been. Chapter 32. But as for you, if ye prepare your hearts, so as to sow in them the fruits of the Torah, it shall protect you in the time in which El Elohim is to shake the whole creation, because after a little time the building of Zion will be shaken, in order that it may be built again. But that building will not remain, but will again after a time be rooted out, and will remain desolate until the time. And afterwards it must be renewed in glory and perfected forevermore. Therefore, we should not be distressed so much over the evil which has now come, as over that which is still to be. For there will be a greater trial than these two tribulations, when Elohim will renew his creation. And now do not draw near to me for a few days, nor seek me till I come to you. And it come to pass, when I had spoken to them all these words, that I, Baruch, went my way, and when the people saw me setting out, they lifted up their voice and lamented, and said, Whither do you depart from us, Baruch, and forsake us as a father who forsakes his orphan children, and departs from them? Chapter 33. Are these the commands which your companion Yirmiyahu, the prophet, the Na'abi, commanded you, and said unto you, Look to this people, till I go and make ready the rest of the brethren in Babel, against whom has gone forth the sentence that they should be led into captivity? And now, if you forsake us, it were good for us all to die before you, when that you should withdraw from us. Chapter 34. And I answered and said unto the people, Far be it for me to forsake you, or to withdraw from you, but I will only go unto the Kodesh Kodeshim, the Holy of Holies, to inquire of Elohim, concerning you and concerning Sion, if in some respect I should receive more illumination, and after these things I will return to you. Chapter 35. And I, Baruch, went to the Kodesh place, and sat down upon the ruins, and wept, and said, Oh, that my eyes were springs, and my eyelids a fount of tears. For how shall I lament for Zion, and how shall I mourn for Jerusalem? Because in that place where I am now prostrate, of old the Kohanim Hagadol, the high priest, offered Kodesh sacrifices, and placed thereon an incense of fragrant odors. But now our glory has been made into dust, and the desire of our soul into sand. 2 Baruch, chapter 36. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision in the night, and lo, a forest of trees planted on the plain, and lofty and rugged rocky mountains surrounded it. And that forest occupied much space. And lo, over against it arose a vine, and from under it there went forth fountains peaceably. Now the fountain came to the forest, and was stirred into great waves, and those waves submerged that forest, and suddenly they rooted out the greater part of that forest, and overthrew all the mountains which were round about it. And the height of the forest began to be made low, and the top of the mountain was made low, and the fountain prevailed greatly, so that it left nothing of the great forest save one cedar only. Also, when it had cast it down, and had destroyed and rooted out the greater part of that forest, so that nothing was left of it, nor could its place be recognized, Then that vine began to come with a fountain in peace and great tranquility. And it came to a place which was not far from that cedar. And they brought the cedar which had been cast down to it. And I beheld, and lo, the vine opened its mouth and spoke, and said to the cedar, Are you not that cedar which was left of the forest of wickedness, and by whose means wickedness persisted, and whose was wrought all those years, and goodness never? And you did keep conquering that which was not yours, and to that which was yours you did never show compassion, and you did keep extending your power over those who were far from you, and those who drew nigh you, you did hold fast in the toils of your wickedness, and you did uplift yourself always as one that could not be rooted out. But now your time has sped, and your hour is come. Do also, therefore, depart, O cedar, after the forest, which departed before you, and became dust with it. And let your ashes be mingled together, and now recline it in anguish, and rest in torment till your last time come in, which you will come again, and be tormented still more. Chapter 37. And after these things I saw that cedar burning, and the vine growing itself, and all around it the plain full of unfading flowers. And I indeed awoke and rose. Chapter 38. And I prayed and said, O Yahweh my Adonai, you do always enlighten those who are led by understanding. Your Torah is life, and your wisdom is right guidance. Make known to me, therefore, the interpretation of this vision, for you know that my soul has always walked in your Torah, and from my earliest days I departed not from your wisdom. 2nd Baruch, chapter 39. And he answered and said unto me, Baruch, this is the interpretation of the vision which you have seen. As you have seen, the great forest which lofty and rugged mountains surrounded, this is the world. Behold, the days come, and this kingdom will be destroyed, which once destroyed Sion, and it will be subjected to that which comes after it. Moreover, that also again after a time will be destroyed, and another, a third, will arise, and that also will have dominion for its time, and will be destroyed. And after these things a fourth kingdom will arise, whose power will be harsh and evil, far beyond these which were before it. And it will rule many times as the forests on the plain. And it will hold fast for times, and will exalt itself more than the cedars of Lebanon. And by it the emet, the truth, will be hidden, and all those who are polluted with iniquity will flee to it. As evil beasts flee and creep into the forest, and it will come to pass, when the time of its consummation, that it should fall has approached, Then the principate of my Mashiach will be revealed, which is like the fountain and the vine, and when it is revealed, it will root out the multitude of its hosts. And as touching that which you have seen, the lofty cedar which was left of that forest, and the fact that the vine spoke those words with it which you did hear, this is the word. The chapter 40. The last leader of that time will be left alive, when the multitude of his hosts will be put to the sword, and he will be bound, and they will take him up to Mount Zion, and my Mashiach will convict him of all his impieties, and will gather and set before him all the words of his hosts. And afterward he will put him to death, and protect the rest of my people, which shall be found in the place which I have chosen. And his principate will stand forever, until the world of corruption is at an end, and until the times aforesaid are fulfilled. This is your vision, and this is its interpretation. 2 Baruch 41. And I answered and said, for whom and for how many shall these things be? Or who will be worthy to live at that time? For I will speak before you everything that I think, and I will ask of you regarding those things which I meditate. For lo, I see many of your people who have withdrawn from your covenant, and cast from them the yoke of the Torah. But others again I have seen who have forsaken their vanity, and fled for refuge beneath your kanaf, your wings. What therefore will be to them, or how will the last time receive them? Or perhaps the time of these will assuredly be weighed, and as the beams inclines, will they be judged accordingly? Chapter 42. And he answered and said unto me, these things also will I show unto you. As for what you said, to whom will these things be, and how many will they be? To those who have believed there shall be the good which was spoken of aforetime, and to those who despise there shall be the contrary of these things. And as for what you said regarding those who have drawn near and those who have withdrawn, this is the word. As for those who were before subject, and afterwards withdrew and mingled themselves with the seed of mingled peoples, the time of these was the former, and was accounted as something exalted. And as for those who before knew not, but afterwards knew life, and mingled only with the seed of the people which had separated itself, the time of these is the latter, the aristocrat, and is accounted as something exalted. And time shall succeed to time, and season to season. And one shall receive from another, and then, with a view to the consummation, shall everything be compared according to the measure of the times and the hours of the seasons. For corruption shall take those that belong to it, and life those that belong to it. And the dust shall be called, and there shall be said to it, Give back that which is not yours, and raise up all that you have kept until its time. Chapter 43. But you, Baruch, direct your heart to that which has been said to you, and have understanding those things which have been shown to you. For there are many eternal consolations for you. For you shall depart from this place, and you shall pass from the regions which are now seen by you, and you shall forget whatsoever is corruptible, and shall not again recite those things which happen among mortals. Go therefore, and command your people, and come to this place, and afterwards fast 7 days, and then I will come to you and speak with you. 2 Baruch chapter 44. And I, Baruch, went from thence, and came to my people, and I called my firstborn son, and the Gedaliahus, my friend, Gedaliahus, my friend, and 7 of the elders of the people. And I said unto them, Behold, I go unto my fathers, according to the way of all the earth. But withdrew ye not from the way of the Torah, but guard and admonish the people which remain, lest they withdraw from the commandments of Elohim. For ye see that he whom we serve is just, and our Creator is no respecter of persons. And see ye that what has befallen Sion, and what has happened to Jerusalem, for the judgments of Elohim shall thereby be made known, and his ways, which through past finding out are right. For if ye endure and persevere in his fear, and do not forget his Torah, the times shall change over you for good, and ye shall see the consolation of Sion, because whatsoever is now is nothing, but that which shall be is very great, Gadol. For everything that is corruptible shall pass away, and everything that dies shall depart, and all the present time shall be forgotten. Nor shall there be any remembrance of the present time, which is defiled with evils. For that which runs now runs into vanity, and that which prospers shall quickly fall and be humiliated. For that which is to be shall be the object of desire, and for that which comes afterward shall we hope. For it is a time that passes not away, and the hour comes which abides forever, and the new world comes which does not turn to corruption, those who depart to its blessedness, and has no mercy on those who depart to torment, and leads not to perdition those who live in it. For these are they that shall inherit that time which has been spoken of, and theirs is the inheritance of the promised time. These are they who have acquired for themselves treasures of wisdom, chakmah, and with them are found stories of understanding, and from mercy have they not withdrawn, and the truth of the Torah they have preserved. For unto them shall be given the world to come, but the dwelling of the rest, who are many, shall be in the fire. Chapter 45. Do ye therefore, so far as ye are able, instruct the people, for that labor is ours. For if ye teach them, ye shall quicken them. 2nd Baruch, chapter 46. And my Ben, my son, and the elders of the people answered, and said unto me, Has Elohim humiliated us to such a degree as to take you from us quickly? And truly we shall be in darkness, and there shall be no light to the people who are left? For where again shall we seek the Torah? Or who will distinguish for us between death and life? And I said unto them, The throne of Elohim I cannot resist. Nevertheless, there shall not be wanting to Yisrael a wise man, nor a son of the Torah to the seed of Yaakov. But only prepare your hearts that ye may obey the Torah, and be subject to those who in fear are wise and understanding, and prepare your souls that ye may not depart from them. For if ye do these things, good news shall come unto you, which I before told you of. Nor shall ye fall into torment, of which I testified to you before. But with regard to the word that I was to be taken, I did not make it known to them or to my son. Chapter 47. And when I had gone forth and dismissed them, I went thence and said unto them, Behold, I go to Hebron, for hither Elohim has sent me. And I came to that place where the word had been spoken unto me, and I sat there and fasted 7 days. Chapter 48. And it came to pass, after the 7th day, that I prayed before Elohim, and said, O my Adonai, you summoned the advent of the times, and they stand before you. You cause the power of the ages to pass away, and they do not resist you. You arrange the method of the seasons, and they obey you. You alone know the duration of the generations, and you reveal not your mysteries to many. You make known the multitude of the fire, and you weigh the lightness of the wind. You explore the limit of the heights, and you scrutinize the depths of the darkness. You care for the number which pass away, that they may be preserved, and you prepare an abode for those that are to be. You remember the beginning which you have made, and the destruction that is to be. You forget not. With nods of fear and indignation, you command the flames, and they change into ruach, and with a word you quicken that which was, and with mighty power you hold that which has not yet come. You instruct created things in the understanding of you, and you make wise the sphere so as to minister in their orders. Armies innumerable stand before you and minister in their orders quietly at your nod. Shema, hear your servant, and give ear to my petition. For in a little time we were born, and in a little time do we return. But with you, hours are as a time, and days as generations. Be not therefore wroth with man, for he is nothing, and take not account of our works, for what are we? For lo, by your gift do we come into the world, and we depart not of our own will. For we said not to our parents, beget us, nor did we send to Sheol, and say, receive us, that therefore is our strength, that we should bear your wrath. Or what are we that we should endure your judgment? Protect us in your compassion, and in your mercy help us. Behold the little ones that are subject unto you, and save all that draw nigh unto you, and destroy not the hope of our people, and cut not short the times of our aid. For this is the nation which you have chosen, and these are the people to whom you find no equal. But I will speak now before you, and I will say as my heart thinks. In you do we trust, for lo, your Torah is with us, and we know that we shall not fall so long as we guard your statutes, mitzvot. To all time we are blessed at all events in this, that we have not mingled with the other peoples. For we are all one celebrated people, and have received one Torah from El, and the Torah which is amongst us will aid us, and the surpassing wisdom which is in us will help us. And when I had prayed this and said these things, I was greatly weakened. And he answered and said unto me, You have prayed simply, O Baruch. In all your words have been hard, but my judgments exact. Its own, and my Torah exacts its rights. For from your words I will answer you. From your prayer I will speak to you, for this is as follows. He that is corrupted is not at all. He has both wrought an inquiry so far as he could do anything, and has not remembered my goodness, nor accepted my long-suffering. Therefore you shall surely be taken up, as I before told you. For that time shall arise which brings affliction, for it shall come to pass by the quick vehemence, and it shall be turbulent, coming in the heat of indignation. And it shall come to pass in those days that all the inhabitants of the earth shall be moved one against another, because they know not that my judgment has drawn nigh. For there shall not be found many wise at that time, and the intelligent shall be but a few. Moreover, even those who shall most all be silent. 34. And there shall be many rumors and tidings, not a few, and the doings of phantasmata shall be manifest, and promise not a few be recounted. Some of them shall prove idle, and some of them shall be confirmed, and honor shall be turned into shame, and strength humiliated into contempt, and probity destroyed, and beauty shall become ugliness. And many shall say to many at that time, where has the multitude of intelligence hidden itself, and whither has the multitude of wisdom removed itself? And while they are meditating on these things, then envy shall arise in those who had not thought aught of themselves, and passion shall seize him that is peaceful. And many shall be stirred up in anger to injure many, and they shall rouse up armies in order to shed blood, and in the end they shall perish together with them. And it shall come to pass at the selfsame time that a change of times shall manifestly appear to every man, because in all those times they polluted themselves, and they practiced oppression, and walked every man in his own works, and remembered not the Torah of Elohim. Therefore a fire shall consume their thoughts, and in flame shall the meditations of their mind be tried. For the judge shall come and will not tarry, because each of the inhabitants of the earth knew when he was transgressing. But my Torah they knew not by reason of their pride. But many shall then assuredly weep, yea, over the living more than over the dead. And I answered and said, O Adam, what have you done to all those who are born from you? And what will be said to the first Hawa, who hearkened to the serpent? Is there any numbering to those whom the fire devours? But again I speak in your presence. You, O Yahweh, my Adonai, know what is in your creature, for you did of old command the dust to produce Adam, and you know the number of those who are born from him, and how far they have sinned before you, who have existed and not confessed you as their Creator. And as regards all these, their end shall convict them, and your Torah, which they have transgressed, shall requite them on your day. But now let us dismiss the wicked and inquire about righteous. And I will recount their blessedness, and not be silent in celebrating their glory which is reserved for them. For assuredly as in a little time, in this transitory world in which ye live, we have endured much labor, so in that world to which there is no end, ye shall receive great light. Chapter 49. Nevertheless, I will again ask for you, O Elohim, yea, I will ask for chesed, mercy, from him who made all things. In what shape will those live who live in your day? Or how will the splendor of those who are after that time continue? Will they then resume this form of the present and put on these entrailments, members which are now involved in evils, and which evils are consummated? Or will you, peradventure, change these things which have been in the world, as also the world? Chapter 50. And he answered and said unto me, Shema, hear, Baruch, this word, and write in the remembrance of your heart all that you shall learn. For the earth shall then assuredly restore the dead, which it now receives, in order to preserve them. It shall make no change in their form, but as it has received, so shall it restore them. And as I delivered them into it, so also I shall raise them. For then it will be necessary to show the living that the dead have come to life, and that those who had departed had returned again. And it shall come to pass, when they have severely recognized those whom they now know, then judgment shall grow strong, and those things which before were spoken shall come to pass. 2 Baruch, chapter 51. And it shall come to pass, when that appointed day has gone by, that then shall the aspect of those who are condemned be afterwards changed, and the glory of those who are justified. For the aspect of those who now act wickedly shall become worse than it is, as they shall suffer torment. Also, as for the glory of those who had now been justified in my Torah, who have had understanding in their life, and who have planted in their heart the root of Chachma, of wisdom, and when their splendor shall be glorified in changes, and the form of their face shall be turned into the light of their beauty, and they may be able to acquire and receive the world which does not die, which is then promised for them. For over this above all shall those who come then lament, that they rejected my Torah, and stopped up their ears, that they might not hear wisdom, or receive understanding. When, therefore, they see those over whom they are now exalted, but who shall then be exalted and glorified more than they shall respectively be transformed, the latter into the splendor of angels, and the former shall yet more waste away in wonder at the visions, and in the beholdings of the forms. For they shall first behold, and afterwards depart to be tormented. But those who have been saved by their works, and to whom Torah has been now a hope and understanding, and an expectation, and a wisdom, a confidence, shall wonders appear in their time. For they shall behold the world, which is now invisible to them, and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them. And time shall no longer age them, for in the heights of that world shall they dwell, and they shall be made like unto the angels, and be made equal to the stars. And they shall be changed into every form they desire, from beauty unto loveliness, and from light into the splendor of glory, Shekinah. And for there shall be spread before them the extents of paradise, and there shall be shown to them the beauty of the majesty of the living creatures which are beneath the throne, and all the armies of the angels who are now held fast by my word, lest they should appear, and are held fast by a command, that they may stand in their places till their advent comes. Moreover, there shall then be excellency in the Zadok, the righteous, surpassing that in the angels. For the first shall receive the last, those whom they were expecting, and the last of whom they used to hear that they had passed away. For they had been delivered from this world of tribulation, and laid down the burden of anguish. For what then have men lost their lives? For what have those who were on the earth exchanged their souls? For then they chose not for themselves this time which beyond the reach of anguish could not pass away, but they chose for themselves that time whose issues are full of lamentations and evils. And they denied the world which ages, not those who come to it. And they rejected the time of glory, so that they shall not come to the honor of which I told you of before. Chapter 52. And I answered and said, how can we forget those for whom woe is then reserved? And why therefore do we again mourn for those who die? Or why do we weep for those who depart to Sheol? But let lamentation be reserved for the beginning of that coming torment, and let tears be laid up for the advent of the destruction of that time. But even in the face of these things I will speak, and I, as for Zadok, righteous, what will they do now? Simcha, rejoice ye in the sufferings which ye now suffer. For why do ye look for the decline of your enemies? Make ready your soul for that which is reserved for you, and prepare your souls for the reward which is laid up for you. 2 Baruch 53. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep, and I saw a vision, and lo, a cloud was ascending from a very great sea. And I kept gazing upon it, and lo, it was full of waters, white and black. And there were many colors in those self-same waters, and as it were the likeness of great lightnings was seen at its summit. And I saw the cloud passing swiftly in quick courses. And it covered all the earth, and it came to pass after these things that cloud began to pour upon the earth the waters that were in it. And I saw that there was not one, and the same likeness in the waters which descended from it. For in the first beginning they were black, and many for a time. And afterwards I saw that the waters became bright, but they were not many. And after these things again I saw black waters, and after these things again bright, and again black, and again bright. How this was done 12 times. But the black were always more numerous than the bright. And it came to pass at the end of the cloud that, lo, it rained black waters, and they were darker than had been all those waters that were before. And fire was mingled with them, and where those waters descended, they wrought devastation and destruction. And these things I saw, how that lightning which I had seen on the summit of the cloud seized hold of it, and hurled it to the earth. Now that lightning shone exceedingly, so as to illuminate the whole earth, and it healed these regions, where the last waters had descended, and wrought devastation. And it took hold of the whole earth, and had dominion over it. And I saw after these things, and lo, 12 rivers were ascending from the sea, and they began to surround that lightning, and to become subject to it. And by reason of my fear I awoke. Chapter 54. And I besought El Elohim, and said, You alone, Yahweh, Adonai, know of aforetime the deep things of the world, that the things which befell in the times that you bring about by your word, and against the works of the inhabitants of the earth. You hasten from the beginning, from the times of the end, and the seasons you alone know. You, for whom nothing is too hard, but who does everything easily by a nod. You, to whom the depths come as the heights, and whose word the beginning of the ages serve. You who reveal to those who fear you what is prepared for them, that thenceforth they may be comforted. You show great acts to those who know not. You break up the enclosure of those who are ignorant, and light up what is dark, and reveal that which is hidden to the pure, and who in faith have submitted themselves to you and your Torah. You have shown to your servants this vision. Reveal to me also its interpretation, for I know that as regards those things wherein I besought you, I have received a response, and as regards what I besought you did reveal to me, with what voice I should praise you, and for what members shall cause praise and hallelujahs to ascend to you. For if my members were mouths, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give you the meat to praise, nor laud you as is befitting, nor could I recount your praise, nor tell the glory of your beauty. For what am I amongst men? Or why am I reckoned among those who are more excellent than I, that I have heard all these marvelous things from El Elyon, and numberless promises from him who created me. Baruch, blessed be my mother among those that bear, and praised among the women. Be she that bore me, for I will not be silent in praising Baruch El Elohim, and with the voice of praise I will recount his marvelous deeds. For who does like unto your marvelous deeds, O Elohim Yahweh? Or who comprehends your deep thoughts of life? For with your counsel you do govern all the creatures which your right hand has created, and you have established every fountain of light. Besides you and the treasures of wisdom beneath your throne have you prepared. And justly do they perish who have not loved your Torah. And the torment of judgment shall await those who have not submitted themselves to your power. For through Adam first sinned and brought ultimately death unto all, yet all those who were born of him, each one of them has prepared for his own soul torment to come, and again each one of them has chosen for himself glories to come. For assuredly he who believes will receive reward. But now as for you, ye wicked, that ye now are, turn ye to destruction, because ye shall speedily be visited, in that formerly ye rejected the understanding of El Elyon. For his works have not taught you, and nor the skill of his creation, which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only of his own soul, but each of us has been the Adam of his own soul. But you, O Yahweh, do expound to me regarding these things which you have received revealed to me, and inform me that which I besought you. For at the consummation of the world vengeance shall be taken upon those who have done wickedness, according to their wickedness, and you will glorify the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst your own you rule, and those who sin you blot out from amongst your own. 2nd Baruch, chapter 55. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking the words of this prayer, that I sat under the tree, that I might rest in the shade of its branches. And I wondered and was astonished, and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness which sinners who are upon the earth have rejected, and regarding the great torment which they have despised, though they know that they should be tormented because of the sin they have committed. And when I was pondering on these things and the like, lo, the angel Ramael, who presides over true visions, was sent to me, and he said unto me, Why does your heart trouble you, Baruch? And why does your thoughts disturb you? For if owing to the report which you have only heard of judgment, you are so moved, that will you be, when you shall see it manifestly with your eyes? And if, with the expectation wherewith you do expect the day of El Elohim, you are so overcome, what will you be when you shall come to its advent? And if at the word of the announcement of the torment of those who have done foolishly to you are so wholly distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvelous things? And if you have heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming, and are grieved, what will you be when you shall behold what the majesty will reveal, which shall convict those and cause those to rejoice? Chapter 56. Because you have besought El Elyon to reveal to you the interpretation of the vision which you have seen, I have been sent to tell you, and El Elohim has assuredly made known to you the methods of the times that have passed, and of those that are destined to pass in his world from the beginning, Bereshit, of its creation, even unto its consummation. Of those things which are deceit, and of those which are in truth, emet. For as you did see a great cloud which ascended from the sea, and went and covered the earth, this is the duration of the world which Elohim made when he took counsel to make the world. And it came to pass, when the word had gone forth from his presence, that the duration of the world had come into being in a small degree, and was established according to the multitude of the intelligence of him who sent it. And as you did previously see on the summit of the cloud black waters which descended previously on the earth, this is the transgression wherewith Adam, the first man, transgressed. For since when he transgressed, untimely death came into being, grief was named, and anguish was prepared, and pain was created, and trouble consummated, and disease began to be established, and Sheol, the grave, kept demanding that it should be renewed in blood, and the begotten of children was brought about, and the passion of parents produced, and the greatness of men was humiliated, and goodness languished. What therefore can be blacker or darker than these images? This is the beginning of the black waters which you have seen, and from these black waters again were black derived, and the darkness of darkness was produced. For he became a danger to his own soul, even to the angels became he a danger. For moreover, at that time when he was created, they enjoyed liberty, and some of them descended and mingled with the women, and then those who did so were tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of the angels, of which there is no number, restrained themselves. And those who dwelt on the earth perished together with them through the waters of the deluge. These are the black first waters. Chapter 57. And after these waters you did see bright waters. This is the fount of Abraham, also his generations, and advent of his son, and of his son's son, and of those like them, because at that time the unwritten Torah was named amongst them, and the works of the commandments were then fulfilled, and belief in the coming judgment was then generated, and hope of the world that was to be renewed was then built up, and the promise of the life that should come hereafter was implanted. These are the bright waters which you have seen. Chapter 43, or 48, 58. 58 is 58. 2 Baruch 58. And the black third water which you have seen, these are mingling of all sins which the Goyim, the nations afterwards, wrought after the death of those righteous men, and the wickedness of the land of Mitzrayim, where they did wickedly in the service wherewith they made their sons to serve. Nevertheless, these also perished at last. Chapter 59. And the bright fourth waters, which you have seen, are the advent of Moshe and Aaron, and Miriam, and Yehoshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, and all those like them. For at that time the lamp of the eternal Torah shone on all those who sat in darkness, which announced to them that believe the promise of their reward, and to them that deny, the torment of fire which is reserved for them. But also the Shamayim, the heavens at that time, were shaken from their place, and those who were under the throne of Elohim were perturbed when he was taking Moshe unto himself, for he showed him many admonishments, together in the principles of the Torah, and the consummation of the times, as also to you, and likewise the pattern of Zion, and its measures, in the pattern of which the sanctuary of the present time was to be made. But then also he showed to him the measure of the fire, also the depths of the abyss, and the weight of the winds, and the number of the drops of rain, and the suppression of anger, and the multitude of long suffering, and the truth of judgment, and the root of Chokmah, of wisdom, and the riches of understanding, and the fount of knowledge, and the height of the air, and the greatness of paradise, and the consummation of the ages, and the beginning of the day of judgment, and the number of the offerings, and the earths which have not yet come, and the mouth of Sheol, and the stations of vengeance, and the place of faith, and the region of hope, and the likeness of future torment, and the multitude of innumerable angels, and the flaming hosts, and the splendor of the lightning, and the voice of the thunders, and the orders of the chiefs of the angels, and the treasuries of light, and the changes of the times, and the investigations of the Torah. These are the bright fourth waters which you have seen. Chapter 60. And the black fifth waters which you have seen raining from the works which the Amorim wrought, and the spells of their incantations which they wrought, and the wickedness of their mysteries, and the mingling of their pollutions. But even Israel was then polluted by sins in the days of the judges, though they saw many signs which were from him who made them. Chapter 61. And the bright sixth water which you did see, this is the time in which David and Shlomo were born, and there was at that time the building of Zion, and the dedication of the sanctuary, and the shedding of much blood, of the nations that sinned then, and the many offerings which were offered then in the dedication of the sanctuary, and peace and tranquility existed at that time, and wisdom was heard in the assembly, and the riches of understanding were magnified in the assemblies, and the Kodesh feasts were fulfilled in blessedness, and in much simcha, joy, and the judgment of the rulers was then seen to be without guile, and the righteousness, the tzedakness of the precepts of Elohim was accomplished with truth, and the land which was then beloved by Yahweh, and because of its inhabitants sinned not. It was glorified beyond all lands, and the city Zion ruled then over the lands and reigns. These are the bright waters which you have seen. 62. And the black seventh water which you have seen, this is the perversion brought about by the council of Yoravam, who took counsel to make 2 gold calves, and all the iniquity which kings who were after him iniquitously wrought, and the curse of Jezebel, and the worship of idols which Israel practiced at that time, withholding of rain, and the famines which occurred until women eat the fruit of their wombs, and the time of their captivity which came up on the 9 tribes and half, because they were in many sin. And Shalmaneser, king of Ashur, came and led them away captive. But regarding the other people, it was tedious to tell how they always wrought impiety and wickedness, and were never Zadok, righteousness. These are the black seventh waters which you have seen. 2 Baruch chapter 63. And the bright eighth water which you have seen, this is the rectitude and uprightness of Zedekiah, king of Judah, and the chesed, the grace of Elohim which came upon him. For when Neveriv was stirred up in order that he might perish, and his wrath troubled him in order that he might thereby perish, for the multitude also of the nations which were with him. When moreover Yechezedyahu the king heard those things which the king of Ashur was devising, that he was coming to seize him and destroy his people, and 2.5 tribes which remained, nay more, he wished to overthrow Zion also. Then Yechezedyahu trusted in his works, and had hope in his tzedakness, his righteousness, and spoke with Elohim, and said, Behold, for lo, Chanaf Viriv is prepared to destroy us, and he will be boastful and uplifted when he was destroyed Zion. And El Elyon heard him, and Yahu was wise, and he had respect unto his prayer, because he was Zadok, righteous. And there whereupon El Elohim commanded Ramiel, his Melech, his angel, who speaks with you. And I went forth and destroyed their multitude, the number of whose chiefs only was 185,000, and each one of them had an equal number at his command. And at that time I burned their bodies within, but their raiment and arms I preserved outwardly, in order that the still more wonderful deeds of Elohim might appear, and that thereby his name might be spoken of throughout the whole earth. And Zion was saved, and Jerusalem delivered. Yisrael also was freed from tribulation, and all those who were in the Kodesh land rejoiced. And Hashem, the name of El Elyon, Yahweh Tezavot, was glorified, so that it was spoken of. These are the bright waters which you have seen. Chapter 64. And the black ninth water which you have seen, this is all the wickedness which was in the days of Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, wrought much impiety, and he slew the righteous, and he wrested judgment, and he shed the blood of innocent, and wedded women he violently polluted, and he overturned the altars and destroyed their offerings, and drove forth their priests, lest they should minister in the sanctuary. And he made an image with 5 faces. 4 of them looked to the 4 winds, and the 5th on the summit of the image, as an adversary of the zeal of El Elohim. And then wrath went forth from the presence of El Elohim, to the intent that Sion should be rooted out, as also it befell in your days, but also against the 2 tribes, and a half went forth a decree that they should also be led away captive, as you have seen now. And to such a degree did the impiety of Manasseh increase, that it removed the praise of El Elyon from the sanctuary. On this account Manasseh was at that time named the impious. And finally his abode was in the fire. For though his prayer was heard with El Elyon, finally he was cast into the brazen horse, and the brazen horse was melted. It served as a sign unto him for the hour, for he had not lived perfectly, for he was not worthy, but that thenceforward he might know by whom finally he should be tormented. For he who is able to benefit is also able to torment. Chapter 65. Thus, moreover, did Manasseh act impiously, and though that in his time Elohim would not inquire into these things. These are the black ninth waters which you have seen. 66. And the bright 10th waters which you have seen. This is the purity of the generations of Yeshayahu, king of Yehudah, who was the only one at that time who submitted himself to Elohim with all his heart and with all his soul, and he cleansed the land from idols, and the sanctuaries of all the vessels which had been polluted, and restored the offerings to the altar, and raised the horn from the holy, and the exalted, and the righteous, and honored all those that were wise in understanding, and brought back the priests to their ministry, and destroyed and removed the magicians and the enchanters and the necromancers from the land. And not only did he slay the impious that were living, but they also took from the sepulchre of the bones of the dead, and burned them with fire. And the feasts of the Shabbaoth he established in their sanctuary, and their polluted ones he burned with fire. And in lying prophets which deceived the people, these also he burned in the fire. And the people who listened to them when they were living, he cast into the brook of Kidron, and heaped stones upon them. And he was zealous with the zeal of Elohim, with all his soul, and he alone was firm in the Torah at that time, so that he left none that was uncircumcised, or that wrought impiety in all the land, all of the days of his life. Therefore he shall receive an eternal reward, and he shall be glorified with Elohim beyond any at that latter time. For on his account, and on the account of those who are like him, were the honorable glories, of which were told before, created and prepared. These are the bright waters which you have seen. 2nd Baruch 67. And the black 11th water, which you have seen, this is the calamity which is now befalling Sion. Do you think that there is no anguish to the angels in the presence of Elohim, that Zion was so delivered up, that lo, the other people boast in their heart, and assemble before their idols, and say, she is trodden down, who oft times trod down, and she has been reduced to servitude, and reduced others. Do you think that in these things El Elyon rejoices, or that his name Hashem is glorified? Yah. But how will it serve towards his righteous judgment? Yet after these things shall the dispersed among the other people be taken hold of by tribulation, and in shame shall they dwell in every place. Because so far as Zion is delivered up, and Jerusalem laid waste, shall idols prosper in the cities of other people, and the vapor of the smoke of the incense of the Zadok, the righteousness which is by the Torah, is extinguished in Sion, and in the region of Zion, in every place, lo, there is the smoke of impiety. But the king of Babel will arise over, who has now destroyed Zion, and he will boast over the people, and he will speak great things in his heart in the presence of El Elyon. But he also shall fall at the last. These are the black waters. Chapter 68. And the bright 12th waters, which you have seen, this is the word. For after these things a time will come when your people shall fall into distress, so that they shall all run the risk and distress, perish together. Nevertheless they will be saved, and their enemies will fall in their presence, and they will have in due time much joy. And at that time, after a little interval, Zion will again be built, and its offering will again be restored, and the priests will return to their ministry, and also the other people will come to glorify it. Nevertheless, not fully as in the beginning, but it will come to pass after these things that there will be the fall of many nations. These are the bright waters which you have seen. Chapter 69. For the last waters which you have seen, which were darker than all that were before them, those which were after the 12th number, which were collected together, belong to the whole world. For El Elyon made division from the beginnings, because he alone knows what will befall. For as to the enormities and the impieties, which should be wrought before him, he foreknew 6 kinds of them. And the Tov, the good works of the Zadok, the righteous, which should be accomplished before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them, beyond those which he should work at the consummation at the age. On his account there were not black waters with black, nor bright with bright, for it is a consummation. Chapter 70. Shema, hear therefore the interpretation of the black waters, which are to come after the black. This is the word. Behold, the days come, and it shall be, when the time of the age has ripened, and the harvest of its evil and good seeds has come, that El Elohim will bring upon the earth and its inhabitants, and upon its rulers, perturbations of the Ruach, and stupor of heart. And they shall hate one another, and provoke one another to fight. And the mean shall rule over the honorable. And those of low degree shall be extolled above the famous. And the many shall be delivered into the hands of the few, and those who were nothing shall rule over the strong, and the poor shall have abundance beyond the rich, and the impious shall exalt themselves above the heroic, and the wise shall be silent, and the foolish shall speak. Neither shall the thought of men be then confirmed, nor the counsel of the mighty, nor shall the hope of those who hope to be confirmed. And when those things which were predicted have come to pass, then shall confusion fall upon all men. And some of them shall fall in battle, and some of them shall perish in anguish, and some of them shall be destroyed by their own. Then El Elyon will reveal those people whom he has prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that shall then be left. And it shall come to pass that whosoever gets safe out of the war shall die in the earthquake, and whosoever gets safe out of the earthquake shall be burned by the fire, and whosoever gets safe out of the fire shall be destroyed by famine. And it shall come to pass that whosoever of the victors and the vanquished gets safe out of and escapes all these things aforesaid will be delivered into the hands of my servant Mashiach, HaMashiach, for all the earth shall devour its inhabitants. 2 Baruch, chapter 71. And the Kodesh land shall have mercy on its own, and it shall protect its inhabiters at that time. This is the vision which you have seen, and this is the interpretation. For I have come to tell you these things, because your prayer has been heard with El Elyon. Chapter 72. Shema. Hear now also regarding this bright lightning which is to come. At the consummation after these black waters, this is the word. After the signs have come, of which you were told before, when the nations become turbulent, and the time of my Mashiach is come. He shall both summon all the nations, and some of them he shall spare, and some of them he shall slay. These things were shall come upon the nations which are to be spared by him. Every nation which knows not Yisrael and has not trodden down the seed of Yaakov shall indeed be spared. This because some out of the nations shall be subjected to your people. But all those who have ruled over you or have known you shall be given up to the sword. 73. And it shall come to pass, when he has brought low everything that is in the world, and has set down in shalom peace for the ages on the throne of his kingdom, that joy shall then be revealed, and rest shall appear. And then healing shall descend in dew, and disease shall withdraw, and anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from among men. And gladness proceeds through the whole earth, and no one shall again die untimely, nor shall any adversity suddenly befall, and judgment and revilings and contentions, and revenges, and blood, and passions, and envy, and hatred, and whatsoever things are like these shall go into condemnation when they are removed. For it is these very things which have filled this world with evils. On account of these, the life of man has been greatly troubled, and wild beasts shall come from the forest and minister unto men, and asps and dragons shall come forth from their holes to submit themselves to little children, and women shall no longer have pain when they bear, nor shall they suffer torment when they yield fruit of the womb. And it shall come to pass in those days, chapter 74. In those days the reapers shall not grow weary, nor those that build be toil-worn. For the works shall of themselves speedily advance together with those who do them in much tranquility. For that time is the consummation of that which is corruptible, and the beginning of that which is not corruptible. Therefore, those things which were predicted shall belong to it. Therefore it is far away from evils, and near to those things which die not. This is the bright lightning which came after the last dark waters. Chapter 75. And I answered and said, Who can understand, O Yahweh, your goodness, for it is incomprehensible? Or who can stretch into your compassion which are infinite? Or who can comprehend your intelligence? Or who is able to recount the thoughts of your mind? Or who of those who are born can hope to come to those things, unless he is one to whom you are merciful and gracious? Because if assuredly you did have compassion on man, those who are under your right hand, they could not come to those things, but those who are in the numbers named can be called. But if indeed we who exist now, wherefore we have come, and submit ourselves to him who brought us out of Mitzrayim, we shall come again and remember those things which have passed, and shall rejoice regarding that which has been. But if now we know not wherefore we have come, and recognize not that principate of him who brought us up out of Mitzrayim, we shall come again and seek after those things which have been now, and be grieved with pain because of those things which have befallen. Chapter 76. And he answered and said unto me, Inasmuch as the revelation of the vision has been interpreted to you as you besought, hear the word of El Elyon, that you may know what is to befall you after these things. For you shall surely depart from this earth, nevertheless, not unto death, but you shall be preserved unto the consummation of the times. Go therefore up to the top of the mountain, and there shall pass before you all the regions of the land, and the figure of the inhabited world, and the tops of the mountains, and the depths of the valleys, and the depths of the seas, and the numbers of the rivers, that you may see what are leaving, and whither you are going. Now this shall befall after 40 days. Go now therefore during these days, and instruct the people, so far as thou art able, that they may learn, so as not to die at the last time, but may learn in order that they may live at the last time. Shnei 2nd Baruch, chapter 77. And I, Baruch, went thence, and came to the people, and assembled them together, from the greatest to the least, and said unto them, Shema, hear ye children of Israel, behold how many ye are who remain of the 12 tribes of Israel. For unto you and to your fathers Yahuwah gave a Torah, more excellent than to all the people. And because your brethren transgressed, and the commandments of El Elyon, he brought vengeance upon you and upon them. And he spared not the former, and the latter also he gave into captivity. And he not left a remnant of them, but behold, ye are here with me. If therefore ye direct your ways aright, ye also shall not depart as your brethren departed, but they shall come to you. For he is merciful, whom ye worship, and he is gracious, in whom you hope, Hesed and Hanan. And he is true, Emet, so that he shall do good and not evil. Have ye not seen here that was befallen Sion? Or do ye peradventure think that the place had sinned, and that on this account it was overthrown? Or that the land had wrought foolishness, and that therefore it was delivered up? And know ye not that on account of you who did sin, that which sinned not was overthrown, and on account of those who wrought wickedly, that which wrought not foolishness was delivered up to his enemies? And the whole people answered and said unto me, so far as we can recall the good things which El Elohim has done unto us, we do recall them, and those things which we do not remember, he in his mercy knows. Nevertheless, do this for us, your people. Write also to our brethren in Babel a sefer of doctrine, a scroll of hope, that you may confirm them also before you depart from us. For the shepherds of Israel have perished, and the lamps which have gave light have been extinguished, and the fountains have withheld their stream, whence we used to drink, And we are left in darkness, and amid the trees of the forest, and the thirst of the wilderness. And I answered and said unto them, Shepherds and lamps and fountains come from the Torah. And though we depart, yet the Torah abides. If therefore we have respect to the Torah, we are intent upon wisdom, chakmah. A lamp will not be wanting, and a shepherd will not fail, and a fountain will not dry up. Nevertheless, as ye said unto me, I will write also unto your brethren in Babel, and I will send by means of men, and I will write in like manner to the 9 tribes and a half, and send by means of a bird. And it came to pass on 21 day in the 8th month that I, Baruch, came and sat down under the oak, under the shadow of its branches. And no man was with me, but I was alone. And I wrote these 2 sepharim. One I sent by an eagle to the 9½ tribes, and the other I sent to them those that were at Babel by means of 3 men. And I called the eagle and spoke these words unto it. El Elyon has made you that you should be higher than all birds. And now go and tarry not in any place, nor enter a nest, nor settle upon any tree, till you have passed over the breadth of many waters of the river Perath, and have gone to the people that dwell there, and cast down to them this sephar. Remember, moreover, that at the time of the deluge, Noah received from a dove the fruit of the olive, when he sent forth from the ark. Yea, also the ravens ministered to Eliyahu, bearing him food as they had been commanded. Shlomo also in the time of his kingdom, wherewithsoever he wished to send or seek for anything, he commanded a bird to go hither, and it obeyed him, as he commanded it. And let not weary you, and not turn to the right hand or to the left, but fly and go by direct way, that you may guard the command of El Elohim, according as I said unto you.